Hi, I think it's time to talk about nutrition. As a nutritionist, I would like to start with the macronutrient group. And why is that? Because macronutrients, including proteins, essential amino acids, carbohydrates, and fats. And there is a very big confusion on the market how much to eat, from what type of food, and why. So let's start with the proteins. I would like to drill on it. Um, I would like to drill down on it first. And we are not going to finish it today, but at least we start. So, um, in the macronutrient group, the first one I would say proteins. And there are essential proteins and non essential proteins. Why are we calling proteins or some of the proteins essential proteins? Because our body not capable and cannot produce them. Therefore, we need to eat it every day in a larger amount. Now, here's a kicker. We used to eat, or we still eating a lot of animal-based food, which includes higher amount of protein. The reason why is because many people would like to look amazing, and you know, we see something on a magazine, on newspaper, or in a movie, and then we would love to achieve that specific look. Now, what really happens behind the scene is, which they're not telling you, is, for an example, 33% of bodybuilders drop on the floor with heart disease and heart attacks, and they hit the hospital. Why? Because the amount of protein they have to eat, it's it's huge, and therefore they look amazing outside. We buffed, we have the muscle. Ooh, oh my god! But inside, they're destroying their system. They are. And they ending up to have stents and bypasses. Why? Because saturated fat largely found in meat-based or dairy-based foods. And we are eating them all together. So over time, it creates a higher amount of cholesterol, bad cholesterol, LDL, and in the end of the day, it creates plaque formation underneath the vessels. When it pops, it may create a stroke or a heart attack and other bad things. So we don't want to hit that stage. So again, we would like to prevent these kind of things. And how we do that? How are we eating the essential proteins in a way that it's not harming our system? Well, there are few tips. Tip number one would be that start to eat plant-based proteins. Okay? If you cannot lean off the meat, then reduce the amount of meat, reduce the amount of animal-based protein, and substitute some of it with plant-based proteins. That's the number one suggestion I would like to give. And in that note, I would like to share a story. I was born in Hungary, and indeed, you see behind me, I was a professional athlete for a long time, and I ate a lot of meat. But in Hungary, in our culture, is to eat meat with meat. We didn't eat the dog or the cat, but besides that, whatever you could find in Europe as an animal, we did consume it. So we ate the boar, we ate the deer, I did not, but the culture, the people in Hungary. The horse, the cow, the chicken, the goose, the goat, and name it. Not only that, but we ate it with sour cream, and we made cheese and we add them together. So therefore, the Hungarian nation is suffering right now. You know, we're not showing cancer and heart disease and heart attacks and coronary vascular disease. It's very bad, as bad as it's here, by the way. But the reason here in the United States is even greater. Why? Because we stepped up a notch. Now we're not eating clean meat and organic meat as like 40 or 50 years ago. We are eating processed meat and processed food, which also includes sodium, a larger amount of sodium, and sometimes a larger amount of sugar, some sort of sugar. So why is that? Because it has to be palatable. What does that mean? That it has to taste good, because otherwise we won't eat it, right? So as good the food tastes, we're going to eat more and more of it. Now, the only problem with sodium and sugar, that it has an osmotic pressure reaction. What does that mean? When you're eating processed food, the sugar, the processed sugar, and the sodium sucks the liquid out from our cells, so it starts to age you. Now I guarantee you that if you start to eat this kind of foods today, you will not be able to tell a week from now, or 2 weeks from now, or a month from now that you're eating this kind of foods. But in 5 years terms, it will show that you are aging much faster compared to a person that doesn't eat processed food. Therefore, I highly recommend that slowly but surely we start to switch our thinking and think about more and more plant-based protein intake. It's doable, it tastes good, and what type of proteins we can eat? That's a question, right? What is the plant-based protein that substitutes animal-based protein? Well, all kind of legumes. In that category, we have a lot of lentils, a lot of beans. If you look at vegetables, spinach, and I can go on and on. Like legumes in that category, also peas can be found. But back to spinach. Spinach also has a lot of vitamins, minerals like iron. So it's good in many levels. Many levels. Sorry. That said, it's very important to get these essential proteins into your system, because, like leucine, all right, it can be a limiting nutrient. What does that mean? If we're not eating enough of it, or we're not eating that type of essential protein, it blocks other nutrients in your system to function. So you're breaking a chain of natural flow in your body. The moment you do that, or we do that, you set your system up for failure. Maybe not on the short term, but on the long term. So back to my story. I came to the US about 20 years ago, and when I was done with the corporate work and I just had it, I wanted to go back to my roots, and I wanted to become a personal trainer. I was already a professional athlete. I knew how to, work out. I knew many tricks. I had a great stamina, but I really wanted to give it away. I wanted to help people. So I started to learn and study, become a personal trainer, and then became an elite trainer. And in the books I studied, there was always a little section about nutrition, and that turned the switch on. Because it's really interesting to me how our body functions. It's like a biological machine. It's amazing. But don't mess with it, because what happens these days is 88 million people in the US only are pre-diabetic. Why? Because we eat the wrong food, and we eat a lot of it. So that's third of a country, by the way, almost third of a country. The bad news also that 84% of that 88 million don't even know and recognize that they have these kind of problems. They've been told by the doctor if they go, or if we go, right? So, as I mentioned it to you, I started to learn nutrition, and I read all the books on the market. I just love it. I cannot hide it. I love it. I jazzed about it, and it's amazing. I think how we humans are functioning inside out. Just think about seeing each other and hearing each other. You know, what you can pick up with your five senses is just magic of nature. So so the first book I grabbed, apparently it was a Chinese study, and that was an eye opener for me. Why? Because it spelled out, if I continue to eat meat as I was eating in Hungary, I'm gonna be very sick around age 55-ish, maybe age 60. And then my life quality will drop. Then I will not be able to play with my kids anymore, with my grandchildren, with my dogs. Where are you? Bert. I want to show you my little dog. He's like amazing. But I'm also a father of two. So, you know, I don't want to miss a thing, a beep from my life when it comes to quality. So I have to set myself up for success. And that's what I would like to do with you. And I would love to help you guys with these kind of little ongoing seminars and educate you about food. So proteins, right? We have non-essential proteins and essential proteins. We should eat plant-based, but not animal-based. And we should limit dairy and eat more plant-based, milk and so forth. So many of the people in this country already recognizing and start to recognize that, okay, we have to modify something, but we still don't know how much to eat of these foods and why. Also, the bad news is that many of the people don't hit the essential protein intake. Okay, so we're gonna clear these foggy areas out with time, but today I'm going to cut it short, and we are going to continue this conversation in the next session. But again, I think for now it's enough information about proteins, and on the next video we are going to dig in more deep. So follow us, follow these little lessons, and I would love to teach you. And as I did to myself, you know, I'm very athletic. I'm mostly on plant-based diet. I'm mostly on whole food diet. I just did 500 pull-ups today. Okay, should be good enough for everybody. I can run 6, 7, 8 miles, no problem. But we have to feed our system in a right way. And with that, you can achieve this. Okay? So again, goal setting is very important. You want to know your goals, and you can achieve your goals. What you see on the magazines and movies and newspapers, they are unrealistic many times. You don't want to live that way. It's very similar to Atkins diet, and we all know how is that ended. People dropped dead left and right. That's the truth. All right, so be back. We're gonna discuss this again, and we're gonna discuss this in a different forum, and we look at proteins from a different angle. All right, have a great day. Well, that's why you want to live a healthy life. You see the doggy? That's why you want to live long, because of these little creatures, and because you want to spend a lot of time with your animals, with your children, with your grandchildren, and quality life matters, guys. You want to be healthy, freaking healthy, until end of life. That's the truth. You don't want to struggle and you're going to suffer. So, in these classes, we are going to teach you, and I'm going to teach you how to. All right? Love you all.